What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another tune from the Trigun soundtrack, the anime from 1998, with the soundtrack composed by Imahori Tsuneo. And we're going to listen to Lost Planet, which is melodically identical or very, very similar to the track that in the original Japanese is written as Stars of Sand. Now, in my collection for many years, that tune was listed as Sandy Planet, though I found those tunes many years ago online, and I think, maybe they had been translated dubiously. But yes, I reacted to, I think last time, Stars of Sand, which is, as I said, a tune that features the same melody as this, but in that track, the melody is played by an acoustic guitar, just, strummed and plucked very gently, and it has this calm, gentle feel. Here, that same melody is performed, I think, mainly by woodwinds, like oboes and maybe a clarinet, but I think there is perhaps some strings as well, or there are strings. Nevertheless, this version, I think, takes on a slightly more melancholic feel, and I suppose the title, Lost Planet, suggests that there is loss, there is some tragedy that is at hand, and perhaps that is why this version of the tune gives off a bit of a sadder feel. So let's give it a listen. This is by series composer Imahori Tsuneo. The track, which at least as I have it listed here, is Lost Planet from Trigun. Lovely. Though a bit different than I was thinking in advance, meaning when I think of this track, I think of that lead part which begins the tune, which does come back around, after like halfway. And that part does have a very melancholic, though also, or even maybe alternatively, longing, which is not the same as tragedy. So, loss could be something that you could find again, I suppose. But yeah, there's a heavier emotional quality to that section. But a couple other sections had more of like this, Baroque feel that wasn't necessarily as heavy. And then there was that one transitional section which almost had a bit of a quirky sound. And I think in many instances when this tune is played in the show, they don't play it long enough to get to that part. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't recall that section nearly as readily as I do the main section of this, or even that secondary section where it feels a bit more Baroque. But yeah, I think it's all woodwinds. Like that lower element or the lower instrument is the only one I was wondering. It was like, that could be brass. Is that like a tuba? But I think it was a bassoon. I think there's oboes, maybe clarinets, but definitely oboes, and then I think there's a bassoon down bottom. But yeah, again, it has a notably different feel compared to Stars of Sand, or again, as it was in my folder for many years, Sandy Planet. But the melody, the same melody is immediately identifiable in both. So it's funny how you play a melody in a different instrument or with a different arrangement, and it definitely hits differently. And so yeah, ultimately, I think it is another lovely tune. Thank you to all those who watched the watch-along of the show over on my Patreon. Not only did Sophia watch it, but she actually helped me with a couple of the tracks from the soundtrack here. And then Chris watched, Michaela watched, I think there may have been one or two others. It's another one where, like, when I look at the metadata, it clearly indicates there's more than just a few people watching, but, when folks don't comment, it doesn't give me an indication of who that is, but I hope more people will watch it over time. And I'll try to remember to put a link to the watch-along in my Patreon in the description. I will put a link to my watch-along of the show on Patreon in the description here, in this video on YouTube. But I do want to also remind that at some point I'm going to do a watch-along for the 2020, I think it's 2020, Trigun Stampede, which is a remake of the original anime, though with fewer episodes, yet some of them having identical names as episodes in the original show. So it feels like maybe it's going to be condensed. And because I've talked to Chris a little bit about it, I'm aware that there are some different choices that are made, meaning like it's got the same characters, but they're not used identically. And again, if it is fewer episodes, I'm guessing there are scenes or parts of the larger story that are either sped through more quickly or altered relative to the original anime. But bottom line, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Let me know what you think of the tune, and I will see you next time. Peace.